12 years ago. He is a member of astronomy clubs in Charleston and Clarksburg. He also assists the County Park with topics related to amateur astronomy. And here is John Dennis.
All right, thank you, Jasmine. So, if I get the button pushed right here, okay. Now this is a presentation from the International Dark Sky Association. You can access this on webs. They have it's free and open things. There's all sorts of information on here. So this presentation is directly from their website. Only in the darkness you can see the stars. So this is just a little quote from Martin Luther King. Taking a look at that, are we light polluted in that picture? Oh yeah. Some of you guys have probably seen big cities from the top of the hill. This is a lot of times you see things like this from out in California. You're coming in out of the mountain range, or you're in the front range of your Denver or something like that, and you can see these cities from 100 miles away. I was speaking with someone here about their trip fairly recently from across one of the southern routes, and they're going through New Mexico and such, and the Phoenix area. You can see it from the top of the mountain. You're driving, and you still have about 2 hours to get there. I mean, that's how big light pollution expands outward, and it's just from each person turning the light on or off. So here is one of the parts of the world that we have here, is we have skylight. You guys are so fortunate down here. You have no clue how I wish I could live out here, okay? Maybe I'll be able to move out here someday. But your sky is darker than this. But the reason it's dark is we don't have sky glow. Anybody want to raise your hand and tell me what sky glow is? Roger.
That's the light from the cities.
From the cities.
It kind of forms a dome that blocks out the view of the stars.
And if you can see Charleston from here. You can see probably Glenville. You can see Clarksburg. Maybe. I know from Roger's house. Where do you live? Possum No, excuse me. He's in the south of West Union, excuse me.
Yeah.
So his sky is very dark, but he can see Parkersburg's light dome and Clarksburg's light dome from way out in the middle of a hollow, off a hollow, off a hollow. You guys know what I mean around here. You guys live in these places. It's okay. So, if you were out here, is there anything there on that picture that's contributing to the local sky glow of this guy's backyard? What is it? Somebody said, oh.
I did. He's got some lights that looks like mirrors.
Okay. What's wrong with those lights?
Point it up.
Okay. We'll get into that in a minute. How many people are here over 50 and have trouble driving at night on the highway? All right? Right there. Glare. Glare. And you youngsters, you have no clue what this is, right? So when you get older, you get these little things in your eyeballs that just scatter light all over the place. If you've ever been under a spotlight and it's shining on you, it is so bright you can't see anything else, because what happens to your eyeball? You know? What happens to your eyeball when you have shine light on? You know? How about you? We're here? You can't see very good. Why? It goes the other way. It constricts. It tightens up so much and you can't see. Which way does your eyeball need to go to see in the dark? It needs to open up or dilate. Okay? That makes your eyeball go just scrunch all down. There would be 55 people standing behind that light and you've never seen them. When you go to a football game around here, because I've been to football games where they have about a gazillion watts of light bulbs in the sky. When you're down in the field, it's great to see the players on the field. But I bet you can't see the moon, practically, looking up through those lights. No, you can't see the stars. That's from the glare. You're looking right into a light bulb. And if you're driving on the highway, you're looking right down the beams of their headlights. this is light trespass. Now some states have rules and laws about this. Is if I have a property and I have these really, really, really bright lights, I could go, if there's rules and regulations, go to my neighbor and ask them, hey, if you're shining it into the bedroom window, I can't sleep. All right? Jasmine had talked about the effects on the human body of light coming in. You control the ones in your house, but the ones coming from street lights and your neighbor's lights, it's really hard to do. You have to get into this light trespass rule to do that, to help get that fixed. So that's a pretty well lit walkway, but that's way, way too much light. Okay. So the consequences. Now this is the part that will a little bit of ecology. Does anybody know what ecology means? It has to do with plants and animals and how they relate to each other in the world. Some of you guys have probably I've seen these things. Have you ever been to the beach and they say you can't have your windows open on the water side of your apartment certain months of the year? My wife was there one time and they said you couldn't. They got in trouble for that because they had their windows open at night because some of the turtles think your lights are the moon and they're totally disoriented and they die. They only have a certain period of time that they can get from the water, from hatching the eggs, and get in the water and get away safely. Birds, these are showing dead birds that have bird strikes on different things. This is just a representation of the thousands of them, and they crash into things. They see the light, they're totally disoriented, and they just wham into things. Now, when does migration occur? Most of it is at night. My other hobby is bird watching. So there's an app on there, there's an app for everything, but there's an app on there for bird migration. I can turn it on and watch the flyways up the East Coast, through West Virginia, up the Mississippi River. And the big flight paths are on nighttime, from sunset to sunrise. Then the birds go in, they get something to eat, they get something to drink. We're seeing trees bud earlier or losing their leaves later under artificial light. If there's artificial light, the photosynthesis can last longer during the year's time. So the trees think it's still spring 2 weeks earlier than spring's here. And it's fall, not winter, two weeks later. I'm just saying the time, it's just longer. Part of it too is energy waste. So that's a lot of money spent on unneeded lighting. We burn about 21 million tons producing of CO2 just to keep the lights on. Now I know that's a big hot topic in West Virginia and that kind of stuff, but this is just data from around the world. Everybody's worried, working on this, on trying to get the emissions down. There's a picture in the upper left here. That is the world. The United States is over on the left. Get one of these pointers going here. So the United States is up here. Europe over here. Africa, South America. So this is between here and here. That's a lot of light coming off of the ground. Some of you folks here have been in this county, and your families have been here for hundreds of years. Does anybody remember back when your parents or grandparents said that there was electrification, rural electric brought in? Does anybody remember a time or date for this county?
Early 50s.
50s? You still some places didn't have electricity?
My dad was about 5 years old when he was born in 1950.
Wow. Okay. So a lot of the state of West Virginia, they started it in the 1920s through the rural United States. So they bring it in. And some of our places in West Virginia, we didn't get electricity for a long time. What did we use for lights back then? Candles, kerosene. What did our great-great-grandparents use back in the 1850s? Whale oil. All right. So and candles, and back that way. How did Abraham Lincoln get so smart, according to the books? He read by firelight. at home. How long does the night last in Illinois in the winter? 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning? I mean, that's a lot of reading by firelight. I don't know how these guys didn't make it without glasses. So this is dark sky stuff out here, and we don't need that much illumination. This is Jasmine talking about this. Some of the chemicals in our body that help regulate, and this is the word that she used, circadian rhythm. That was what she brought up and talked about it. There's hormone regulations in there that have a thing called melatonin. This is sometimes recommended by physicians and health providers to help you sleep. You go get melatonin tablets. Some people that helps to get it back regulated in your mind. And then they also, these LEDs. That's a big change in our lighting that we've had in the last few years. So much of our lighting has gone from incandescent bulbs. When I grew up, my street had three street lights on it. They're on a power pole, and they had a little cap over the bulb. Maybe the cap was about this range, and it was corrugated metal on there, and it had a bulb hanging down. And the bulb was almost orange yellow. That was a beautiful bulb. All they had to do to protect our eyes was put a shield on the side, and we would have had almost a perfect light bulb of seeing in the night sky. So inspiration, these are just things that some of the people that have written poetry about it, music about the skies. When you go on a date, you walk with your hand in hand, and you're walking down a starry lane, and you're looking at the bright skies and that kind of stuff. So the night skies are fantastic. So, these are bright objects that we're talking about. Now, I don't know if I brought that up here with me, but I'll put this. Okay. Now this, I'm going to shine with your eyes. If you pass out on me from epilepsy, tell me I won't shine your eyes. But do you see how bright that is? Those are tiny little light bulbs. But this is plenty. This thing would shine 50 feet in the dark. You could see everything you would want to see with just that little tiny light bulb. Now I know my dad was a state policeman, and on the side of his car he had this great big old light on a swivel handle. The sheriffs and the state police used to run around. That's it. It was really bright. And we'd shine. I remember going out with him sometimes and shining that thing across the field. You could see deer out there standing in the field. And nobody's ever done that before. But those are extremely bright. And you've got some of these handheld bulbs now that are 150,000 lumens, or whatever they call them now, candle power, that are this big around. You can shine that thing 20 miles with it. But those are what this kind of really dark sky. We don't want this heavy-duty brightness in the sky. There's somebody in that picture. All right. When you little guys see it? Do you? You stand up here and walk up there and touch the screen. Show me where it is. Stand up in the middle. Don't catch on the wire. Walk around there. You point to where the guy is in that screen. Point. Get up there closer. Oh, you saw it. Now do everybody see it? Yeah. How many did not see the guy? Oh, there's a few. All right. So this is the guy right here. Now we're going to change. We're going to get the glare out of there, and we're going to get the light trespass out of there, and we're going to get the really bright light out of there by putting our hand up. Oops. You see in the lower picture? The light's getting in there, but our eyeball, it caused the pupil to do what? Contract, because the light was hitting it so bright, we couldn't see in the dark. Now we can see there because it's not directly in our eyeball. Somebody tell me where this is. America. All right. Tell me where this is. Here. All right. I'm going to back it up. I can't do it from that pointer. So what this is, if you're looking down here at the bottom, has a year marker on the side. So 1950, 70s, 97, 2005. So we're right about in there. So this is predicting that our light domes around the other cities are going to cover up this county eventually. All right? It's prediction. By the amount, only 2% a year of increased lighting. But just look at the whole eastern United States. Some of these people will never see the stars. Ever. All right? So some of us were here in the 1950s and remember how dark our skies were. You can go out anywhere and see almost anything. All right. So somebody over here asked about the darkness. All right. So there's those big maps. I shrunk it down just so, and I outlined where the park was. And I put this on here. You can see the Mount Zion Ridge. Above it is Grantsville. To the east is Glenville. To the west is Spencer. In our world that we talk about in astronomy, we call that sky in that light blue area a vorpal 3. Now it goes from about 8 down to 1. 1, for those lucky people that have ever been to it, are like the American Southwest, way far away from any cities. In that environment, you can read a book by starlight. Okay? Your eye can adjust that well. Now here, we have Bortle 3 skies. Bortle 3 means that we have a little bit of sky glow, but on a perfect night, we can see the Milky Way, rivers of darkness through the Milky Way. We can see galaxies with our naked eye. And it's just phenomenal. But do you see where the green is? And we talked on the slide before that it's encroaching at 2% a year. So we could be covered up just by a few more lights just right here in this county. All right? All right. How dark our sky? So if you guys like apps, you can check out Globe at Night or Dark Sky Meter. These are things that you can put on your phone, and your phone's video camera in it can see the sky and give you a number. Okay? What we use is this little box. We have, the park has one here. There's a gentleman from Cornell University, a PhD doctor, a PhD in astronomy, who's come down here several times, talked with Donnie. Donnie has one of these. So in this room, all I'm going to do is there's a sensor on the top and a number reads out on the side. So just in this room, at this point, and we have a 12.64. Okay? This is the sky like would be in downtown Parkersburg, near South Mall, the South Walmart. Sean? Sir. Oh. You get to put the bag on.
I always have to put the bag over.
The honor. Yes. Children, do not do this ever.
Do not ever do this.
Sean is going to put a dark black bag over his head to see how dark it is inside a bag. Don't you want to know? You ready, buddy? Does anybody know CPR? All right, we're ready.
I'm feeling a little woozy. Okay, here we are, sir.
This is a 16.58 inside of a black trash bag. Does anybody know what it is out on the field here? No. You remember that? 21.2. This is dark. This sky at night on a new moon, 21.2. This machine rate reads out to 23. Okay? So, your skies are phenomenal. Protect them. That's what I'm trying to show you with this little. Are you okay, Sean?
I am fine.
All right.
Don't tell my mother I did.
So those are two apps that you might find. You can look around on other things. I don't use a lot of apps on my phone because it just burns up my battery all the time. So are you one of the lucky ones? 2 out of 10 can even see the Milky Way on the whole planet. We've got 8 billion people on our planet. All right? So 99% of the U.S. and Europe live under light polluted skies. You guys don't. Except in Glendale, in Grantsville, in Spencer, for the local bigger cities. All right? But I can remember my first trip. I used to live in Tucker County, Blackwater Falls area, Main Valley. I was up there I'm born in 53, so about 58, 59. I remember going out with my father at the winter check station for the deer, the state police. And I remember being out there at the little town of Parsons. There was a bridge called the Blue Bridge. That was the check station because there was only one road through that whole valley. We would sit there and there was the stars, it was black. The sky was totally black and you had pinpoints for light. That's the way I remember the stars in West Virginia. Now, the LA earthquake was a crazy time. What happened there about 25 years ago? It was during a baseball game, I believe. They had a huge earthquake, blacked out the whole city. There was no light anywhere. Excuse me? There was what? All right. But the other side of the blackout is people with CPAP and diabetes machines and that kind of stuff. They didn't have any power either, so that's the bad side of these emergencies. But you can see, has anybody ever flown into LA? I did one time a long time ago. You come in and I happen to be on one of the window seats and going around the side. What did you see since you were there?
See everything.
I mean,
Once you left Denver, you can see, if you're ready to work out, you can see all California lit up.
yeah, from the north to the south.
Yeah.
Did you have the same experience, man?
Yeah.
So, how do we make a difference? This right here is the step we take. Jasmine has started this little thing here talking about dark sky, getting the community involved, and thinking about what we can do individually to help correct the loss of the night sky. So we hope that some of this sinks in. Light pollution, one of the things is better light design. Aim them down. The days of putting a big mercury vapor light bulb on the corner of the barn that shines all the way from the south 40 to the north 40, we got to limit that kind of stuff. Even if it's not in the hardware store down here, ask them to get you something with lights that cut down. If you look at the bottom two pictures, the left side are lights shining out at your eyeballs. The other one has shielded lights that are below the globe that's glowing of light. Everybody understand? You want to block that so it's going on the ground. Do you need to know what's on top of the chimney? No. Okay. Another thing is the word Kelvin. Does anybody know what the word Kelvin means? You know what Fahrenheit is? Centigrade? Celsius? Kelvin is another temperature-related thing. A lot of science events or scientists use this now. In this zoning here, you'll look on the side of the light bulb when you're buying it, and it's going to have a number on there. A small range, or it'll have a certain specific number. Now, some of these things, like over on daylight, 5500 to 6500 Kelvin, those are good for reading lights. But what do you want to do with your reading light shade? You want to point it down like this. You want to point at what you're reading at. You don't have to have this naked bulb hanging down below your shade to spread the light out. You want it right where you're working. So we want things over here in this 2700 zone, this warm white area, for even our outdoor lighting. Your eyeball sees that perfectly well. You have a fantastic eye. Humans have a fantastic eye for low light and color vision. When we get into the darkness, we start losing the color vision, but we have a little section in there. The rods of the eyeball see very, very well. All right. So intensity, I would like to see a little less of the yellow, but the yellow color is nicer for your eye. In the brightness in the blue, we want to get rid of those if we can. We don't want them shining up. This was taken from an airplane or something. Lighting ordinances. Lighting ordinances are a piece of the puzzle the county commissions are working on here. Donnie's working with them. The International Dark Sky Association is working with Donnie, and they're going to try to go through several stages of things to help protect the light pollution of the county. So it is being worked on a little bit to help protect it. But your individual work at your house is a big part of it. International Dark Sky Association, if you want to look that up online someplace, feel free. There were many flyers as you came in about light pollution, those type of things. Please take those home and read them. Do you guys have any questions for me right now? Yes, sir. How accurate is the portable scale? Mostly, you have there are certain numbers that you're looking for, but it has a verbal description of what the sky looks like. If I'm standing out here in this field and I look up and I can see the Milky Way, it says in the little book, I see the Milky Way and I can see the dark lanes and I do not see any light domes anywhere. This would classify it into a boroscope area. There is another chart that they do use the number, and they put Bortle number on one side, that digital number that we have in the middle, and the verbal description on the side. So we do have a range of those, of the Unihedron sky meter on those scales now. You had a question?
Yeah. Which would be better, the candlelight lighting or the LED lighting?
So, I cannot answer that question. I love the idea of not having to pay a whole lot for the LED, but you have to, I don't have the right answer to that. Does anybody else want to put it out there? Bill?
I'll dig into that a little bit in my presentation.
In your presentation? Okay. I'll just let you go there. All right.
What about television, computers, do those?
You want to answer that?
Yeah. So basically, there should be on most devices a way to turn on a night light feature. So blue light, which is really bad for your eyes, is not as bad, and it's warmer tones.
I didn't find that out until just the last year or so, when I got a phone that had this night light setting inside, and I can turn it on, it's say 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, there was a setting, and it took away the blue light coming off my iPhone. I'm sure the Androids have it. Any guys with iPads, do they have those settings now? I don't know. I don't have an iPad, so I don't know. Yeah. My home computer, say again?
All the iOS devices have it.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on to the next person. We'll be around to chat afterwards, so if there's other things that come up, feel free. Jasmine?
Thank you, John, for that presentation. Are there any more questions for him? Anything? No? Yeah?
What about like on certain cars where they put blue headlights on?
I don't like blue headlights. the word that it causes us? Glare. The blue lights are horrendous for us older people, and especially even people wearing glasses. Perfect question. I wish they would take those blue ones off